Welcome to the Copy Closer podcast. Today, we've got another amazing guest for you, and this person is coming to you with some amazing sales advice. We always talk about copywriting, and we always talk about some marketing stuff, and one of the other biggest elements, the things that actually bring in the money, is the sales. And this is one of the real people behind the scenes that's making money for tons of people you've probably heard of. So I've got on here Kayvon. He's a one-call closer. A lot of people actually know him as a sales savant. I've seen him speak on stage. I've seen him just spit gold. So we're all fortunate to have him on here. Hey, Kayvon, you on the line, man?
Yes, Carlos. Thanks so much for having me. And it was interesting what you said. You said, we usually have copywriters and some marketers on there, and we're going to do something different with sales. Well, I tell people, and this goes to all your copywriters. I believe the hardest form of sales is copywriting. A good copywriter is just as good as, especially in the internet marketing world, is just as powerful as the closer. In fact, now that you got me going, you get me a copywriter that is a gold copywriter. So understands the market, understands the offer, understands the pains. I don't need to be a good closer. I can just show up and have a conversation because the copywriter has done their job. So I always have mad respect for copywriters. But copywriters themselves, they have to get on the phone and close their own services. So 100%. Hopefully I can help some of those copywriters close their services at higher prices and charge more. And hopefully my story of how I got there will inspire some of these copywriters to maybe reach out and write some copy for me.
Man, I love it. I love it. So before we actually dive into all those tactics, because I'm definitely interested in hearing that, I heard some really cool stuff that you dropped in person. You said in person. I was like, man, this guy's going to be gold. We got to get him on the podcast. So I'm excited to hear all that wisdom. And I appreciate you giving credit to some copywriters, because I've always said the same thing. Copywriters, we've got to develop the skill of doing what we do on paper or on the internet. We have to develop that skill to do it over the phone, because if you've got the ability to do one, you've got the ability to do the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've just got to do it. And if you can combine the two, you're unstoppable, right? Especially if you've got a good media buyer. Yeah. So, but before we dive into all of that, man, let's talk a little, what did you do before sales? What's your story? How did you even start out? How did you stumble into this world?
So I tell people, again, I date back to when I was in grade 1, actually. And back in grade 1, when the school system labeled me with every letter in the book, ADD, ADHD, LD, they said I had learning disabilities in reading, writing, math, and communication. You tell me what's left. Is that?
That's everything.
I was in grade 1. I didn't think about making the NHL in grade 1. All right. And what happened was, as a result of that, that just labeled me. I had a target on my back. The other target on my back was I grew up in a very small community up in Northern Ontario. My parents were immigrants to Canada. I was, first generation. So not only did I stick out as this immigrant child, but I stuck out as this immigrant child with ADD. I mean, I had 2 targets on my back, which I tell people it did set me up for failure at one point, but I turned that failure into my triumphs. I turned what was once that fortress into my fuel. By the time I was 19, I was already defining all odds. I was playing. I had a football scholarship to a university. I mean, they said I was never even going to graduate grade 8, let alone high school, let alone get into university. The sad part was when I got to university, in the first weeks I was there, I was working with our counselors, the dean actually of the special ed department. I call it SPED. I know you can get in trouble for saying that, but I called it SPED back then. And she looked at my file and basically said, Kayvon, you don't have ADD or any of this. You're just stupid. And you're not going to be successful here. What do you want to do? And I said, well, I've always wanted to be in business. I've always been a salesperson.
Who said this shit?
No lie.
Who said it though? What was their position?
The dean of the special resource department.
That's insane.
Right? So this is the person where, so people with special resources like myself that do have learning disabilities, we learn differently. So things like we get a little bit extra time on tests, and we get a little bit of all these little assets just because we learn differently, especially in the scholastic system. It allows us to be able to kind of be at par, right, with everybody else. So there's a different, a special department, but they're supposed to be able to write down your path for the 4 years. Here's how we're going to be successful. Here's what's going to need to happen. She's basically saying, you're not going to be successful. Then I tell her I want to be in business and maybe I'll go to college. No, college? You kidding me? If you're lucky, you'd be working in a factory. If you go home, leave right now and try your best, you're doomed, basically. Well, the problem with that is after 19 years of hearing you're not good enough, you're too stupid, you can't make it, you tend to believe it. And it put me into a little bit of a rut. But in that rut, the one thing that I never stopped doing since grade 1 was selling myself. I never stopped believing in myself. I never stopped having to always prove myself to my friends, to my family, to the community, to the schools, to the parents, to the teachers, to the principals, to everybody who doubted me. I've always was selling myself. So my first sales job, I always tell my people, was in grade 1 when I had to sell the entire school on why I was different, but why that was great, not a bad thing. I then got in my first retail job. By the time I was 14, 15, I was selling Aldo shoes, right? The shoe salesman. Love it. Upselling the leather creams and all that stuff. And
how old were you? That was right out of high school?
That was right out of, I was 14, 15 at that point.
Oh, 14 or 15 years old?
Yeah, I had a friend, I had a connection, so they had me work.
So you got started real young. I mean, you're a professional salesperson at 14 then.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a professional. I was learning.
Hey, man, you're slanging shoes. I
was slinging shoes and, not doing a great job, right? Like trying to figure it out. But by time, essentially, by time I was about 26, I'd already worked in 4 different industries. I was in the ski and snowboard industry, so working as a sales rep for some of the largest ski brands. I then was working in recruiting real estate agents, and then I started recruiting with mortgage brokers. I was working with one of the #1 mortgage companies in the country. And then as well as, I was working all over the place. I mean, everything I was doing, I was slinging. I was just like a slinging salesperson. And then by the time I was 26, so I had this dream. Now I look back and I go, what a small dream it was. But you only know your own, like you don't know what you don't know. You only know your contacts. So back then, and remember, the internet marketing world wasn't there, right? This whole idea. So it was, the only thing I knew was kind of corporate. The only thing I knew was kind of sell bigger ticket things, but they were all like, my mentality was, if I can just make my first 100K, my first 6 figures, oh my God, my life, right, is going, I made it. So like when I was 25, I just had graduated college. Yes, that's right. It took me a little while, it took me a while to get through it, but I got through it. So at 25, I graduated college and I actually got a university degree in business. But now I'm 25 and I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball, right? I get no money. And I'm like, all right, I wrote a goal and it was my first 6 by 26. So meaning by the time I turned 26, I want to make my first 6 figures. So what I did was I went out and I remember in January, at the end of January, I'm all right, look at all my finances, look at what I create. Cause I know, in order to bring in 6 figures, I got to make $8,333.33. That's how I'm going to make my my $100,000.
First off, we got to give credit to that because most people don't even write down the number. They don't know the number. They're like, I want to make X amount of dollars. Or like, you broke it down per month. You knew exactly what it was.
Listen, if you don't know your number and you don't have a goal, then where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you going? You just have this dream and you're just sitting on the couch, picking your ass, wondering why it's not happening. It's because you didn't even have a goal. So again, I wrote my goal. I knew, and I didn't just write it and leave it. I literally 30 days later, I evaluated it. I looked, how much money did I bring in? Well, guess what? It was like, at that point, if I remember, it was like $1,400.70. Far from, so now I'm like, I'm behind the 8 ball. Most people get discouraged, not me. At that point, I knew I couldn't get discouraged. I got to change it. So I went out and I literally worked 5 freaking jobs. Every type of job, any sales thing. I was selling everything I can. I mean, I was just hustling. Now, by the end of that year, I did make my 6 figures. But what I realized was I couldn't continue to do that. I couldn't, I was working 7 days a week. I was burning out. Every job I did have in that year, I lost at the end of it. because, burnt out,
You have 5 fucking jobs. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, right? And then so I realized, how do I make this kind of money with one job? So I started looking, started evaluating, and I was fortunate enough to get into the pharmaceutical business.
How old are you at that point?
I'm 26, 27.
Gotcha.
Now I get in, and within a year, I'm one of the fastest growing, sales reps. Where by year 2, I'm the number 1 sales rep across my territory. By year 3, I was the number 1 sales rep in the entire company across the country for the largest pharmaceutical generic company in the world.
That's unbelievable.
But there's a but. Well, let me go back for the but. So what did that look like? That was well over that's $250,000 a year salary, plus bonus, plus car, plus my favorite, which we called the credit card. I can't name the company, but we called it Uncle, whatever the company name was, right? So like Uncle.
Yeah.
Right? You swipe
How
that
much
credit
is on your?
card. Swiped it. We swiped it. Just swipe. Traveling all over the world and working 1 day a week. Now, most people, this is
a dream job, isn't it?
I want everyone to understand this. Most people were like, Kayla, are you crazy? Making that kind of money, working 1 day a week, that's like the dream job. No, it's not. Because what I realized when I was 26, when I made that first 100K, that couldn't buy me shit. That wasn't going to buy me the house on the water. That wasn't going to buy me the boat I want. And I sure as hell wasn't going to buy my family the freedom they deserved. When I made my first $250,000 and I realized that's it. If working at that job, there was no more I could make. I was tapped out. I was never going to have the things I wanted. I don't care if I was working 1 day a week. What was I doing the other 6 days? Not enjoying my life to the fullest, not getting to do the things I loved. I hate watching other people have the success that I know I can have. I don't hate it in a negative way where I wish it was mine. I hate it watching other people do what I know I can do. I hated seeing the man I was in the mirror, knowing that I wasn't becoming the better version of myself, knowing that I wasn't pushing my boundaries, that I was average, that I was settling for mediocrity, when yet I knew all my life I was supposed to be extraordinary. I don't want to be average, right?
And let me know if I'm wrong, but it almost sounds like you're really competitive, but not necessarily with other people, but with yourself, right?
Yes.
What do you think drives you? I mean, what do you, I'll let you talk about that.
No, I don't. I just wanted this. I apologize. As a good salesperson, just by the way, you never do what I just did. But I'm pumped up and I'm not selling. I'm talking, so I'm allowed to be there. I'll tell you, you are right. I'm only at the end of the day, I'm in competition with everybody, but at the end of the day, there's only one person I'm really in competition with, and that is myself from yesterday. I literally want to wake up every single day and know that I'm a better person faster, quicker, more efficient, smarter, more effective, more quicker, more whatever that is, more financially, more emotionally, spiritually, all of it, relationships. Every day I'm in competition with myself, because if I'm not, then who am I competing against? Because I'll tell you this, if you're sitting right now and your expectation bar is set by someone else, you got some big problems. Nobody sets my expectation bar. I set my own expectation bar.
Oh, I love this. Dude, right? I love it. Hey guys, if you're listening to this and you're getting fired up, man, so am I. So keep fucking taking notes if you are. I know I am. I've got a page full already. Yeah. So you're selling pharmaceuticals. You become the top person in the company. You're making great money, great perks, especially. Perks might outweigh the money.
Yeah, the perks definitely outweigh the money at that moment.
And then what happens, man? You start feeling unfulfilled with that. You start realizing that's not actually going to get you what you truly want. So what did you do next? How did you transition, or what did you do?
Yeah. So I realized, most people, so here's a good one. I'm going to tell about this story too. So most people go, well, why don't you build a business on the side? Well, yeah, guess what? I tried doing that. And I did it for about 1.5 years. And guess what that business did? Absolutely nothing. Now I'll tell you why. There's 2 different types of people, right? Some people, they need to cut all their ties, burn their ships, because when their back is against the wall, they press forward. Others can't handle that type of pressure. They break. Well, I knew I had too much freedom. It was too comfortable, because every time I had to do something in my business that required me to do something I didn't want. It required me to do something where I had to actually use my mind, critical thinking. It involved me not being mentally lazy. Well, guess what I did? Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll just go to the gym. I'll go on my bike because I have all the time, right? I mean, I'll tell you at that point, I was in the best shape of my life because all I did was play tennis. I biked. I was in the gym. I was climbing mountains. I was living in the beautiful country in British Columbia, right? So we, climbing mountains on the water. So it's a lot easier to do that. But when your back's against the wall, you can't do that. You've got to keep pressing forward. So there came a moment, and there's a moment in every entrepreneur's life. There's a moment where you get to your rock bottom, where you get to the moment where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Enough is finally enough. For me, I was 30 years old. I had just accepted that I had the best job. I just kind of started to accept mediocrity. I looked into my apartment. I called it my home. I looked at my health. It was in the best shape I've ever been. I looked at the relationship with my parents, and it was the best it's ever been. I looked at my friends, all of it. And I thought, all right, you finally made it. That was a Sunday evening, looking over the beautiful mountains. The sun was coming down, shining over the white tip snowed mountains. I mean, it was majestical. Then Sunday morning, I get a call from my manager. Kayvon, the company's under acquisition. Commissions, everything's changing. That same day, 12 p.m., I get a call from the landlord saying that they're evicting me because they want to move back in. Thursday morning, I get a call from my mother telling me in tears, what's going on? Telling me my dad has cancer. He's got to go through radiation and chemo. Wednesday, I get a call from my sister. She's crying. And I said, I know, I heard about dad. Don't worry, I get it. No. Dave just left me. Her husband just left her with my 2 nieces. And to top it all off, by the end of the week, the person that was in my life left me. So that's good because I always say at that moment, that also helped me find the one who's in my life who I love very much.
Absolutely. Dude, that's a week of pain.
That was a week of pain. So now I'm 30 years old. I have a failing business. My entire life, my mediocrity life is in jeopardy. I knew in that moment something had to change. But I also knew in that moment that was a defining moment where people have an opportunity. That's a moment where I knew the great people do something different. The average try to hold on to what they had. You see, the reason why most people never exceed or never go to the level they want is because they've been so damn attached to the person they've been. And for me, I knew for the once in my life, I didn't want to be the man I was. I wanted to die and kill off any form of the man I was so I can begin to birth the man I was becoming.
Dude, so that's intensity right there.
Sorry?
So that's intensity right there. That's absolutely what you need, dude. Everybody that I've interviewed that's got this level of intensity is usually at the top of the game in their industry. So there's a commonality. If you guys want to be fucking successful, you got to have this type of intensity, man. This isn't a hobby for you, dude. This is your life.
Oh, I love what you just said.
This phrase? What do you think about this phrase? Business is life.
Yeah, I just love what you just said there. I was going to say, I tell people, if you want to be a business owner Monday to Friday, come Friday, 5 p.m., you want to take your business hat off and enjoy your weekend, you'll never have a successful business. Business is immersion. Business is 24/7. Business isn't something you do. Business is something you are. You're being a best father I can be to my unborn children isn't something I am, isn't a title. It's something I become. It's something you do it, right? It's not like, oh, I take the weekend off of being fatherhood. No, you're a father, not always, or a mother, always. See, a lot of people want to take their business hat off. I just want to relax on the weekends. Well, you're not going to have a successful business. Now, is there a time when you build it and you go through all the pain and all the shit and you build a family and then you build a team and you build the systems that you can take a week off and not have to worry about the business? Absolutely. But there's a time before that where you're going to have to be all things business. in order to grow. For me, I knew that. So again, I was willing to burn off all my ships. I was willing to let go. I was willing to give myself the permission to love my family from a distance. I was willing to give myself the permission to go after my dreams at the risk of everyone else's disapproval. Because I knew that all my life I was trying to seek the validation of all the people that said I couldn't do it. I was trying to seek the validation of what I thought my parents wanted me to be, but I was miserable because the one thing I wasn't doing was achieving and doing the things I wanted to do for myself, the person I wanted to be. And when I made that decision, I took that leap, I went for it. There was no such thing as being half pregnant. You are or you're not. And I took that leap. Now, the story doesn't get that much better, right? A year later, I'm $150,000 in debt. So I've tried copywriting, I tried internet marketing, I tried affiliate, I tried MLM, I tried drop shipping, I tried coaching, I tried consulting, I tried speaking. It was fail. And it wasn't until I met a mentor who helped me and showed me that the reason I was failing wasn't because I wasn't doing the right things. The reason I was failing wasn't because I didn't know what I was doing. The reason I was failing was because I wasn't congruent to who I am. I wasn't doing anything that was sales. I was trying to run away from sales because I thought in order for me to become this new man, I had to leave it all behind. No, you got to leave what's not serving you behind, and you take what's serving you into your future. So one of the things I always say to myself, and I say to my friends, and they say, "Hey, why aren't you coming out?" I said, "Listen, I don't spend any of my present." I'm going to just say it again for everyone to listen. You should be saying this just to yourself. I don't spend any of my present time with people, things, or thoughts I don't have a future with.
It's powerful.
Right?
That's powerful.
So my mentor helped me get in line with that I'm a sales guy. That's what I do. So then I learned about this world of high ticket sales. So
you were doing all the right things. You just weren't focusing on your superpower. You were trying to sell copywriting, this, that, whatever. But you could be good at all that. But your superpower,
I wasn't in line.
Yeah, you weren't aligned.
I wasn't in harmony. And the universe, the marketing, people knew it. The messaging never connected because it wasn't in line with who I am. Wasn't in line. You call it the superpower. I call it my core genius. My core genius is all things sales. The moment I stopped the online, the moment I stopped trying to be a speaker and all this stuff, and all I did was focus on closing high ticket offers. So instead of trying to be the influencer, I just worked with the influencer and I closed for the influencer. And in 1 month, 30 days, I went from losing $25,000 a month to earning $25,000 a month. 3 months later, $50,000 a month. 8 months later, I had my first six-figure month. As a result,
this is as a fucking closer.
As a result of just doing me. And
dude,
now guess what? Now guess what? The things I wanted to do 2 years ago, I wanted to stand on stage. I want to inspire. Guess what? It all came around. When I wasn't trying to be a speaker, I got speaking engagements. When I wasn't trying to make this impact, I had people asking me for mentorship. When I was just focused on me, on what my core skill is, my core strength, that is when I started to build a business around it. And that's where I am. I'm building a business around a skill I have. Now, the great thing about the skill, high income skill, we talk about that. Copywriting is a huge one. Marketing, advertising, Facebook ads, sales, those are high ticket, those are high income skills. What's great about those skills is nobody can take them away from you. Yeah. There's something you have, you own. They're yours to keep no matter what. And I know without a doubt, no matter how shitty things get, no matter, because things go up, they go down, you can lose it all. You never know. We can lose everything tomorrow. But what I do know is if I lost everything tomorrow, I am so damn confident and I have so much clarity on exactly what I would need to do to get it all back again. And nobody can rip that away from me because I earned it. I developed it. 2 decades of sales. It's mine.
Ah, dude, you got me fired up now. I'm all pumped up inside. If you're listening to this, you guys got to be taking notes like a mofo, because I know I am. He's getting me freaking pumped up, and I'm like, geez, this, like, you know, one of the things that comes to mind is, and I'd love to get your opinion on this also, is what do you think about, you know, you developed, you know, you call your genius. I'm figuring out I call it your superpower, but
yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
You kind of stumbled across this with your mentor and all this, but it was through taking a bunch of action. You did a bunch of other stuff. You went into debt and you did all this stuff. Do you think it's better to kind of sit there before spending money, before jumping into the game, sit there and really figure out what is it that my superpower is, or my zone of genius is?
Yeah, but
or should they just start trying shit?
That's a twofold, right? As a result of me going down everything, when I found what mine was, I was so certain that now I realized what it was, and I didn't have this doubt. So there's a twofold. Do I say that you got to go $150,000 in debt to be successful? Fuck no, don't do that. Do your best not to do that. Do I say that you're going to have to make an investment, not just an emotional, spiritual, physical investment, but you will one day, if you want greatness, you will have to make a financial investment that scares you no matter what, under no circumstances? Absolutely. Does it have to be 150K? No. Straight out, no. Can you be smarter with your money? Yeah. Me? I wasn't. I was an idiot because I just thought more money. I thought more money goes in, maybe more money comes back. That isn't the case. More money goes in, more goes down the hole. So if you're fortunate enough to already know what your skill is, awesome. Then you got to go for it. If you're not, and you're kind of, I don't know, Kayvon, well, that's great, but what do I do? Then yeah, I say, well, then you got to, roll up those sleeves, get off the couch, tighten the fucking belt, and get into it. And go start looking and go start researching. And researching doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to go online for a couple minutes and then I'm going to get distracted. Go on my Facebook, take out my, my left hand and start spanking it. All right. What I'm talking about is you're actually immersing yourself into this kind of environment. You're trying things. You're investing in little things to see what's possible. You're pushing your boundaries. You see, the problem why most people don't want to do that. Most people, we get to that edge. That's that edge, right? That cliff. And everybody's sitting there and watching. You see it on the Instagram. You see it on the face. They're watching everybody else jump and watching live their best lives, wondering what it would look like, but without ever jumping. And I'm just here to say, jump. Because what's the worst case that's going to happen? You're going to jump and you're going to fall. You're going to get back up. You've done it before and you're going to do it again. Or the best case, you're going to jump. You're going to take that leap. You're going to find what it is. You're going to soar into your greatness. But 90% of the population sits at that edge of that cliff and they let fear hold them back.
Jeez.
They let something that isn't even real. Fear is just an illusion. You see, our brains are wired to do that. Most people don't understand that. Our brains are wired to hold us back. That's our survival. So when we're at the edge of the cliff, metaphorically, spiritually, physically, our brains are wired to tell us to step back. But in those moments, we're not supposed to listen to our brains. We're supposed to listen to our hearts, to our soul, our human intuition. Our human intuition doesn't give a shit about the economy. It doesn't give a shit about where you've come from or how much money you have or what's happened in your past or if you have good parents or not. The human intuition doesn't care about any of that. The human intuition only says one thing. What is my command for today? What is my command for tomorrow? That's all. So you got to be willing to play between your brain and your human intuition in order to take that leap, to go after your dreams. So you're not sitting on the edge watching everybody take what's yours. You're actually in the game playing and getting what's yours.
Dude, you've got this fire inside that everybody, whether they can see the video or maybe they're just listening and they can definitely hear it through the audio. Were you always, I don't want to call it positive, but did you ever do like some kind of personal development, study personal development? Did you just figure this out on your own? Because you've just...
I read books. I'm not a lot. Like I'm not one of these guys. Like again, I wasn't fortunate enough to get into like, let's just say self-development till I was about 25, 26. Someone kind of showed me. But what I did have is I always had this competitive spirit because again, remember when they write you off in grade 1, you got 2 options. You can believe them or you can fight them. And I chose the path of fighting them. And I use that motivation in my sports, right? So I skied at a very high competitive level. And then when I came into football, I used all that energy on the field and I used to run up that field like there was no other. And I used all that energy. But when all the sports was taken away, where do you put that energy? So I put that energy into building a business or making more money or doing whatever that is. I now do self-development and I always say this because people go, oh, self-development, right? The 90%ers, right? The corporate. I had a friend who goes, I don't believe in self-development. I believe in development of oneself. So same fucking thing, bud.
Whatever.
Right? So no, I've always been motivated, but don't get me wrong. Like listen, I've also had a lot of bad years where I was depressed. I went through a couple episodes of depression again. And I've been down, but I've been up. But the one thing I always had that never stopped was this burning desire for some greatness, was this burning desire of knowing that with all the things that went on in my life, we're not going to get into it. 4 near-death accidents. I met my maker 4 times. The world told me I would never make. I'm here. I'm living. Hey, man, my story is no different than a lot of other people. A lot of other people, they have their own story. Again, I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I realize my story isn't my fortress. My story is my fuel. My story is what's supposed to empower me to do the things I need. It's not supposed to keep me pinned down. It's supposed to propel me forward. And I use that, my motivation. So every time shit hits the fan, every single time, I say things like this to myself. Well, my story just got better. My story just got better. Or I also say, Kayvon, these are the moments that people quit. Right here. In this moment, this is where 99% of the population is going to quit. And that is why 99% of the population doesn't have what you want. So you're not going to quit. You're going to pull it up and get moving forward. You're going to push moving forward. You're not going to sit there and suck your thumb. Yeah. Have I used to suck my thumb a lot longer than I do now? 100%. And what I realized, it's not about how great you perform or how you write copy or how you show up when you're feeling good. It's easy to do that. It's about how well you perform when you're feeling like shit, when you want to quit, but you can get yourself together and still perform at your A game.
Dude, I love this. So what do you do? I want to, dude, this is so much gold, but I know you got some other stuff coming up. So I want to make sure that we transition into what it is you're doing now, because it sounds like at 30,
Yeah, 30. So 34 now.
34. Wow. Yeah. So that's you've done a lot. And even, not just in your life, but just in 4 years, it sounds like you've really accomplished more than most people would do in like half a fucking lifetime.
Well, yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years now. It's been 2.5, 3 years since I've out of the pharmacy, all that on my own. Yeah. And, but I've done a lot. Yeah. I've done a lot. But again, I failed hard. I believe if you fail hard, you'll succeed hard. Like it's one of those things is, the quicker you fail, the more you learn. But the problem is a lot of people are not willing to fail as hard as I did. They're not willing to feel that type of pain because it is scary. And the most important, it's lonely. It's a lonely path to greatness.
So you've worked with so many people, man, especially in this high ticket world now.
Tons of influencers. I worked with a lot of sales teams. I've spoken all over the country, North America. Multiple stages. I've closed more deals than I can guarantee you than most people have.
What should we be doing to close more deals, man? What are some things that rookie sales?
Yeah, so let's get into some of that. So one of the things that I do that I tell people, right, is and this is high ticket. Okay, so
what's high ticket for folks who are unaware and they think $50 is high ticket?
Yeah, no, high ticket isn't $50. That's so high ticket. I love this. Now we're gonna get deep here, right? High ticket is in the perception of the closer. So if you think $50 high ticket, well then $50 is gonna be high ticket. But If you think $10,000 high ticket, it's going to be $10,000. I think $10,000 is a medium ticket. Like, it is a higher ticket item, but like, no, when you're investing $30,000 to $50,000 into a business, into one person, one service, that's a little bit of a higher ticket. $10,000, listen, you want to make $100,000 a year and you're not even willing to invest $10,000 in doing so? What gives you the fucking right? How dare you think that you are deserving? And I mean that. How dare you? You think that you can just sit there and make $100K, but you're too afraid to even invest $5K? Sorry, man. I love you guys, but I got to just tell you, sorry, you got another thing coming for you. So for me, high ticket, 5, 10, 15, 20. It's all about positioning. It's all about authority. No, I know you have a lot of service providers, copywriters are service providers, right? But one of the things I say to people, when you're speaking to people, you can't be speaking to people as a salesperson. You're going to be speaking to them like an expert. You're not a salesperson. You're an expert. You're a fucking doctor. You have a solution to their problem. And it's up to you to find out what that problem is and be able to connect that problem to the promised land and or to their dream, to their wants, to their desires, which is the bridging of that is your offers. It's your solution. So I tell people right out of the gate, some secrets is never call them. Have them call you. Give them a personal link. Book on my call. You call me. Because when you call them, you're a salesperson. But when they call into you, you become the expert. Does the doctor call out to you? Does a doctor ever call out to you, or do you call in and book with the doctor?
Exactly.
Right? Again, so that's one of the rules I always tell people. When you get on the phone, I always say, don't act like a traditional salesperson. You want to do a pattern interrupt. They think you're going to sell them, so don't act like a salesperson. Don't get overly excited. I'm allowed to be excited right now. I'm not selling anything. I'm on radio. When you're on the radio, you're on stage, you're on a podcast, you have to have excitement. But when I'm on the phone, I don't have excitement because it's not going to be a pleasant experience because it shouldn't be. It should be an experience where they feel like there's a problem and it's hard and that you're going to fix that problem or you're going to find that solution for them. So I don't get overexcited. I don't justify my value. I don't sell my features and benefits. Copywriters, hello, you're doing that with your copy. Your copy sells the features and the benefits. So I'm not having those kind of conversations. I'm having the deeper conversations. I'm asking the questions that nobody's asking them. I'm asking the questions of why are they there? What are they wanting? What's going on in their life to want to book the call in the first place? And then I'm asking questions for the future because I want to know, what does it look like? Now, I can't make promises that we'll work together. But suppose, hypothetically, we were to draw a line from today to 6 months from now. What's going on? What would need to happen in 6 months for you to not just feel successful, but for you to be able to lay your head at rest at night, knowing that you are doing the best you can? What does that look like?
Dude, that's fucking gold for whoever's listening. I'm just so happy this is recorded because I couldn't write that fast enough.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I know you're not a big deal. You're not a big script guy and stuff.
No. So don't. I am. I. It's not that I'm not a big script guy. I say this. You'll see all these people all download my script, and it's download the 7-figure script. I even do that because you got to give something away for free. But I tell people, downloading the script and reading a script is not going to make you the sale. There's no script in the world that's going to give you the best sales. You might get lucky on the first couple of times if you got all this energy and it's the right product. But if you want if you want to become a real closer, you got to understand the spirit of the script.
Dude, and you're calm on the call, which is what I like. I mean, you mentioned the doctor earlier. That's immediately what I started thinking of. I mean, imagine if you just go in there, your like back is hurting, and the doctor's like, "Oh boy, I'm just so excited to fucking like, dude, chill out."
They ask questions. So your back's hurting?
Yeah.
They go, let's go. Let's play with this. Let's role play with this. I'm a doctor right now. Your back's hurting. How long has it been hurting for?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Is there anywhere else? Is there any other pains? I.e., Is there anywhere else the way your business not operating today affecting you in your personal life? Because the one thing I know, Mr. Prospect, is your business is a direct reflection of you. So if your business is out of control, there's something going on inside of you that's out of control. So what do you think that really is?
Dude, this is unbelievable. Okay. All right. Let's not give it all away right here, because now we're actually starting to get juicy. We'll have to just have you back on another podcast because this is too good. Dude, what are you doing now? What can people do to like connect you and find
So what I realized, let me just see if I can do my little pitch here.
Yeah.
So what I realized after traveling coast to coast, speaking on stages, working with all these teams is I got an awesome digital course. It's great. But what I really want is I want to work with winners who want to win more. So these are people who have a service. These are people who have a product. They're either closers already, they're selling someone else, they're selling their owns, or they have teams. And what I want to do is I want to do more in live intensives, because I find that when we get in here and then I now got to get off the phone, you feel good. You're all hyped up, but you haven't transformed. I'm not here about the hype. I'm here to teach. I'm not here about getting you all excited. I'm here to transform you, right? So what I'm doing now is I'm doing these 2-day very live intensive. They're on Zoom like this, you and I, but there's only 10 of us. And before we get on the call in the 2 days, I learn everything about your business. And what we do is we actually deep dive, not just into your business, but into the core fundamentals of all things sales, the mindset, the objection, how to get people on the phone, all of it. I'm talking 2 decades of experience condensed into 2 full days. It's the MBA of all things sales. And what I'm doing there is I'm taking these people and I'm working with them live intense with them so that come Monday morning, they can actually implement and get the ROI on the first day. So if that's you like what you hear and you want to transform your sales, you want to learn how to sell high ticket offers, you want to learn the most important skill. It isn't even sales. It isn't even selling high ticket offers. It's not even copywriting. How to connect with people at a deeper level. How to identify who somebody is and be able to speak to them at their language, at their vibration, at their energy. Go to kayvon.com. That's KAYVON.com/salesbeast. Kayvon.com. KAYVON.com/salesbeast. Fill in your application. Myself, I read them all. I get back to everybody. Not my team, not my administration, me, Kayvon. Because that's how I get to know you and get to transform all things you're doing. My man, Carlos, always a pleasure. We had a great time. I'm so grateful every time someone allows me to speak my message to their people, because I know somebody today listened and I just know we shifted something. Something had to shift, or what are we doing, right? What's the point of doing what we're doing? Oh. Interesting.
Now, thanks so much, Kayvon. I'll see you guys on the next podcast.